what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of ClassyNerdTalk. I am Austin, your host, and I'm coming back at you with another episode of Top 5 Austin picks. So these are my favorite picks, so don't get all angry and be like, oh, Will, why did you pick this? Because it is my opinion. I would like to know more about your opinion, and also what you think of this video. If you want me to keep doing these, I'll keep doing them. I really have a lot of fun making them. So down in the comment section, just type, and also subscribe. Alright, so moving on. Last time I did a top 5 of YouTube stars. This time I'm going to do top 5 TV shows of all time, in my opinion, so far that I've watched. So let's get into it. Number 5 is a really good show. I like it a lot, and I watch it a lot, and I can't stop watching it. It's really addictive. And most people are going to hate me for putting it in my top 5 spot, but it's Game of Thrones. So, Game of Thrones is actually a medieval / like fictional show that's on HBO. It comes out every year. You probably hear about it all the time. It's actually based off of the books that George R. R. Martin wrote. There's characters like Jon Snow, probably Daenerys. You've talked about the dragons, the White Walkers, all of that. And we actually do a podcast on our channel and on our podcast channel called Nerd Watch. We actually break down each episode, me and my brother, and we talk about it every time the season comes out. And then we do like a prediction video every time. So yeah, you know, so if you want to know more about that, you can jump over there and you can know more about that. But you should watch it first. You can actually watch these on HBO's streaming network. It's like $15 a month, but the first month is free, I think, so you could binge watch for a while. But we're up to season 8 now. Like, season 8 is going to be starting here soon. This will be the last season of Game of Thrones. But, you know, let's make this kind of short and sweet. Some of the things that I like about the show, the writing is really cool. It doesn't feel like you know what's going to happen sometimes throughout the series, and sometimes you just don't know if that's how that, you know, how it's going to move forward, and it kind of like tugs at you that you want to keep watching. It draws you in. It wants to be like, oh yes, come on, that was a terrible thing that happened, but I really want to know what happens after that. So if you're into stuff that's like that, I would recommend, if you're watching it, it's a hard R in a way because it's HBO. So there's a lot of, like, the first 2 seasons are, you know, they have a lot of like nudity and stuff. Language, not really too much. That happens once in a while, but violence, yes, violence is one of the big keys here. So if you're into like mythical stuff, like dragons and stuff, you really like Game of Thrones, I think you'll like it. They're about hour-long episodes, so you know, it's great, something to watch, to binge watch over the winter. So yeah, that's my number 5.
When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.
Alright, so my number 4 show is actually on Showtime. You can buy this also on the streaming network of Showtime, and you can watch it. It is Shameless, starring William H. Macy as Frank, who plays a dad that's a complete worthless person of society. There's like some other stars. If you've ever watched the Dragon Ball Z Evolution movie, I feel bad too for mentioning this, but they're actually in that show, and they're really good in that show. So don't knock that show because those people are in it. The guy that played Goku also plays Steve in that show, and the girl that played Bulma is Fiona in that show. But it's like a show about this family that is like lives in Chicago, like on the east side, and they're living in the dumps and stuff. But it's very interesting writing, very cool take on like a real writing in a way, and it kind of draws you in with all the story arc that goes on. Even though like I really don't want to see some of the things that go on in that show, I really like how they take it though. They're like, oh hey, you know, this isn't, you know, this is a very touchy subject and a lot of people don't like to see this. Let's move it to this so people will accept it. So it actually really helped me with a lot of things. The first season's kind of, you know, a lot of sexual stuff, and then it kind of moves on to a seriousness. So after a while, like I realized after I watched the first season, I was like, I have to binge watch the rest of it. You can actually binge watch these on Showtime or Netflix right now. The newest season just came out. So the only way to watch that is on Showtime. So I have Showtime app, but Showtime has all the seasons, and Netflix has like the last season, the last newest season, all the way till then. So yeah. So if you're looking into something that's more of like a drama style and comedy, I would recommend that you watch Shameless on Showtime.
Children to come to me.
It really is St. Francis.
Monica died, and then we put her in the ground. And if you come anywhere near my family, I'll bury you with her.
So then, number 3 pick is actually a show that I watch a lot. So the show that I watch the most, probably it's a lot. I would have to say is Friends. I always keep coming back to Friends for some odd reason, but I know why, because I grew up watching that show with my parents and my brothers. So it's just a show. It's just quirky humor, but it's like kind of 90s nostalgia. So if you don't kind of like that, I don't recommend this show for you. But I realize that I've watched this season, this series, over I'm pretty sure 8 times already, and I'm in love with it. I really like it. I like it from the beginning till the end, and it's a bittersweet ending. But there's 10 seasons, and you can binge watch those on Netflix right now. So if you're looking for that, you can watch that still. There's characters in there with Matthew Perry plays Chandler. You have Matthew LeBlanc play Joey. You have Rob Schwindler that plays Ross, Lisa Kudrow, which is played by is Phoebe, and then Rachel is Jennifer Aniston, which actually she became a big actor. And there's also guest stars that she dated, like Brad Pitt's in it, Paul Rudd is in it. Actually, later he marries Phoebe, and then Courtney Cox plays Monica. So this show, for some odd reason, I really like the interactions and stuff. One of my favorite episodes is actually when Joey finds out that Monica and Chandler are dating. It's the most hilarious thing ever. I have to pause it every time because I laugh so hard. I'm crying tears because it was such good acting, and the response to that was great. So if you're looking for something that's wholesome to watch with your family, I recommend Friends.
Time is what you needed just to gain a little respect.
We were on the break!
Coffee house?
You bet. Chandler, what are you doing? Chandler?
Oh my God!
Alright, so my number 2 pick, it was really hard to make this my number 2, but I had to make it my number 2. My number 2 is actually a show from AMC. It is actually probably, I will come out on the limb on this, it is actually the best written show in the last 10 years. What I mean by that, and what I'm talking about, is the one, the only, Breaking Bad. So Breaking Bad is a show about a science chemistry teacher that actually starts cooking meth with one of his old students, and they actually come to sell it because Walter is dying of cancer. The show lasted for about 7 seasons, and then Vince Gilligan, the guy that wrote that, actually knew that he wanted to end it. He didn't want to keep going. This stars Bryan Cranston. You probably know him from Malcolm in the Middle, or some of the movies that have been coming out recently with him in him. Why Him? Godzilla, he was in it for 10 minutes. And then Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul plays Jesse in the show, and Walter is played by Bryan Cranston. But there's a lot of cool things about the show. The show is very well written that I didn't want to stop binge watching it. I just couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. I just kept watching it. And then before you know it, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I have to be at work at 8. And I'm watching the show. So it kind of I knew that show was going to, be willing to watch it. And also, too, is it's one of the shows where, someone could put it on and I'll sit there and watch, 6 episodes. And I already know what's about to happen, but for some odd reason, I really like it. There's also been a spin-off called Better Call Saul, which is part of the lawyer that's in that show. So if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, you should watch Breaking Bad and then watch Better Call Saul. So you can actually binge watch Breaking Bad actually right now on Netflix. And Better Call Saul has the first season or the second season. Oh yeah, 2 seasons on Netflix, so you can watch those. Really good acting. There's a lot of cool story arcs, a lot of good shots. There's a lot of like take-backs and foreshadowing a lot in that show. That's what really draws me in. But what I really like is some of the nods to like some of the great films of all time. There's like a nod to Reservoir Dogs in that show. There's a lot of nod to Pulp Fiction and like some Tarantino films from original films and how they do like film work and stuff. So Vince Gilligan's a genius in my opinion, and Better Call Saul is actually as good as Breaking Bad can be. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's like, you want to binge watch, I recommend Breaking Bad.
I have lived under the threat of death for a year now. And because of that, I've made choices.
Alright, so before we go to my number one, I'm going to do some honorable mentions because TV shows to me are really, really, really good TV shows. So I'm just going to come down a little bit. I'm not going to explain too much, but these are some of my recommendations. So my first honorable mention will actually have to be Futurama. Futurama is amazing. I've watched that show more than probably almost as close as I've watched Friends, because Friends I've watched almost like 8 to 10 times, and I'm pretty sure Futurama's in the 10th area. I just keep watching that show. It's one of those shows where I could watch one episode and then I'm watching 10 episodes while I'm doing something else. So I'm like, wow. And it's also really great background noise. So if you like something for background noise after you watch everything. And it's also got a lot of really funny mathematical stuff. Great. It's actually done by Matt Groening, who also did The Simpsons.
It's funny.
What?
You're a wiener!
Alright, so my second honorable mention has to be Westworld. Westworld is a show that was actually adapted from the movies Westworld back in the 70s and 60s. Well, it was 60s, 70s, I think. So this show is phenomenal. It has Anthony Hopkins in it. How could you not like this show? It's actually a show about a little vacation spot that you can pay amounts of dollars to go, and it's a Western style vacation where it's like all have robots and there's like different story arcs and stuff that you can go through. Well, then the robots start turning on people and stuff like that, but I'm not going to spoil it for the rest of it because they haven't really done too much with the show. It's only on the first season. After that, I can't wait for the second season. It comes out next year, I think, or 2018 they said. So I'm hoping it's as good as the first season. But if you haven't watched it, Westworld is one of the best written shows of all time, next to Breaking Bad.
Like a building with rooms I've never explored. I think there may be something wrong with this world. Something hiding underneath. These violent delights have violent ends.
Two honorable mentions. Alright, so my favorite TV show of all time actually has to be, of course, if you know who I am, I would pick this because I'm a huge fan, and I still actually watch it today, and it's The Simpsons. I grew up with The Simpsons when I was a young kid, and it was just, I was hooked. It was like some people's Star Trek. I'd have to put Star Trek in an honorable mention too, which I forgot. Star Trek is a huge honorable mention, and but the thing was it wasn't as it didn't draw me as much as Simpsons did. Simpsons was something that drew me every week. And what was really cool is my uncle that lived up the street loved The Simpsons too, so I would go up once in a while just to watch an episode with him. That was something that we bonded with. I remember it coming on Fox like at around 5. And they would do like reruns of it throughout the week, and then it would come out, actually every new episode was like Sunday, so I would just keep watching and I love The Simpsons. I've watched that series probably I'd have to say 15 times so far. I'm not caught up on the newest season. I've gotten to the Treehouse of Horrors and I haven't caught up then, but I really like everything that's based. Matt Groening is a great he's got a great brain. He knows how to write things. There's a lot of mathematical stuff. I've read a whole bunch of stuff. I have a lot of things that are The Simpsons. If you haven't
Nice party, Dink. You're responsible for this, Simpson.
No way, I didn't do it. Unlike all the other stuff I told you I didn't do, which I did.
Bart, I'm sick of playing the tomfool. You are hereby expelled from Springfield Elementary.
We're right here with the Simpsons movie Donut, but you know, my favorite show has to be The Simpsons. So, do you like my top 5 best shows of all time? Tell me down in the comments. What did you think of it? Tell me what your 5 favorite top shows are. You know, remember, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And just remember, if you're not nerd enough, we are not using that anymore. Okay. So, what do you think of my top 5 best shows of all time, TV shows? Like and comment and share and subscribe. Tell me down at the bottom what you thought of my top 5, or what is your top 5 favorite shows of all time. For more content, please subscribe to Classy Nerd Talk. We really appreciate it. We thank everyone for everything that we put together. If you want to know more about us, we have a Facebook page, and we also have a podcast that we do, actually D&D. So if you really would like that, jump onto that. But just remember, stay classy.